Right then, I'm now here for my heavyweight boxing predictions for 2025. I did one for 2024. Now I'm here for the new year one for 2025. So, yeah, I've got quite a few here. Let's get right into it. So, yes, here we go. Starting off with, I believe that Alexander Usyk will end 2025 as a two-time undisputed champ. He will eventually fight the winner of Joseph Parker versus Daniel Dubois. He will beat whoever wins that fight without a shadow of a doubt. Alexander Usyk will win whoever he fights out of those two, and he will regain the IBF title. And yes, Alexander Usyk will end the year as a two-time undisputed champ and possibly will retire after as well. But yeah, I'm pretty sure no matter what happens, Alexander Usyk will definitely fight the winner of Parker and Dubois and will beat the winner and will end the year as two-time undisputed champ. I don't even think they're competitive fights for Usyk. I think Usyk's just clear of everyone in the division. And yeah, I simply believe he will be a two-time undisputed heavyweight champ. Yeah, there we go. Okay, next up, I've got Martin Bakole gets beat. I do think that Martin Bakole is pretty overrated, if I'm being completely honest. I do think he is overrated. I think he's going to get beat. I'm not 100% sure by who. I mean, I think if he does end up fighting Caballero or Zhang, it will probably be one of them. It looks like he's fighting Efe Ajagba next. He'll win that fight, and they'll probably, step it up, fight, a high-level guy, and then he's going to get exposed. He's going to get beaten. Yeah, that's why I think he's already been beaten by Michael Hunter. Like, I think Caballero and Zhang would both beat Martin Bakole. Yeah, and if it is one of them, I think they're both beat him. If it's someone else, I still think a lot of these top-level guys beat him. I really do, to be honest. And that is what I think will happen in 2025. I've seen there's been talks of people saying, oh, Martin Bakole's the next big thing. He's the next world champion. No, that's not going to happen. He's getting beaten this year. Okay, next up, Chisora finally retires. I do believe that 2025 will be Derek Chisora's last year in the sport of boxing. He's just turned 41 years old as well. He's got a fight scheduled with Wallin for February, but yeah, I reckon he'll fight Wallin, possibly fight in Africa or Saudi Arabia, and then hang the gloves up there. That is what I think will happen. He'll either retire in Saudi or he'll get the fight that he's wanted, a fight in Africa, and I reckon he might retire there. But I'm pretty sure no matter what happens, this will be Chisora's last year in the sport of boxing. Okay, next up I've got Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury happens once this year. And I believe as well that both guys will only fight once this year and it will be against each other. I reckon they will have a 2-fight deal, but at the end of the day, if we're being completely honest, the rematch will probably happen in 2026. They'll fight once this year. I reckon it probably could be pretty competitive. Who knows who will win? I'll have to say closer to the time. I reckon this will probably happen September 2025. But like AJ is probably going to have about a year out. I don't see either guy having a warm-up fight for each other. And I think Fury's going to want long time out. So I don't see him fighting someone else before. Yeah, I think that Joshua Fury will happen once this year, probably at Wembley as well. But yeah, they'll both only fight once this year as well, and it be against each other. That is what I do think will happen. It'll be good. I would have liked to see them like have a fight before they fight each other, but I doubt that's going to happen at this point. They're just going to want to get them in there with each other ASAP as soon as they can, really. Okay, next up, I've got Moser Talma defeating Fabio Wardley this year. I really am pretty confident that this fight happens on a Saudi show. I really do. Or they might have a Wembley show and this fight happens on that card. But I reckon Moser Talma will beat Fabio Wardley this year. I really do. I definitely see it being made. I really do. I think Talma could fight 3 times this year. I reckon he could possibly fight Adeleye, probably beat him. Then I reckon he'll get a fight against someone else possibly than a Fabio Wardley fight. And I reckon he will be defeating Fabio Wardley this year. He'll become a British champion. Then 2026 will be a very interesting year for Mo Sidatama. But yeah, I really do believe he will beat Fabio Wardley if they do fight. I really do. I think that it's a good time for it to happen. I'm pretty sure Turki Al-Sheikh's going to want to get it made as well. I think Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, sorry, he promotes both of them. He'll be pushing for this fight, definitely. It's a great fight for Frank Warren as well. But it's a good money British fight for him. So yeah, I want to see it. I think a lot of people do. Let's get it made. I think Itama wins. Next up, I've got Filip Hrgović does not fight at all this year. Yeah, I don't see Filip Hrgović getting a fight. He's literally been so media silent ever since Daniel Dubois beat him. He literally hasn't spoke out about the loss since. He's been very quiet. I don't see him fighting in 2025. I really don't. I don't even think Filip Hrgović has got much left in his career, to be fair. Right? It just seems like I've always felt with Hrgović, once he loses, he's one of those kind of fighters who might not fight again, or at least takes God knows how long out, 1-2 years out, and then eventually comes back, but just ain't the same. So yeah, I don't think Filip Hrgović fights this year at all. I think Dubois took a lot out of him. Well, in his mind as well. And I feel like from Hrgović, he's been beaten. His mentality is not going to be the same. So I think he's going to take this year out. And I'm pretty confident in that one as well, to be fair. I'm pretty confident in this one. All right, next up, I've got this is an interesting one. Deontay Wilder versus Francis Ngannou happens as co-main event to Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. Yeah, I think Wilder and Ngannou happens this year. I feel like it's got to. I think it's a great last fight for Wilder. And what a double two fights is. Joshua Fury main event, Wilder and Ngannou co-main. I think that's fantastic. Wilder and Ngannou both have power. That's a 50-50 fight in my opinion. And I think it's a good fight to have on the same card as Joshua Fury. And it just makes it even more exciting as well. And let's be real, Joshua Fury has lost hype. It has. And I think, we're still all hyped about it. But I think having Wilder and Ngannou on the card brings that extra bit of excitement to it, in my opinion, and just makes us that bit more interested and intrigued in the whole card in general. So that's what I think. And I do think, they're looking to put on even bigger cards, I think. I mean, look at what the Better Be a Bivol one's like. I think they're going to do this. I think they're going to have Wilder and Ngannou as co-main to Joshua Fury. Okay, next up, I've got Lawrence Okolie versus Joe Joyce happens this year. Again, I'm pretty confident it happens. Probably an O2 main event, something like that. This one happens. It could probably sell. Nah, not the O2. Probably like Wembley Arena, it sells out or something like that. I think it's a decent fight. Back it up with a decent undercard. It's a good fight in my opinion. Both guys quite sluggish and stiff. I think. I think it's a good fight. I'd give a prediction for it closer to the time. I see it happening. I think Lawrence Okolie's going to want to get in there with another British guy, try and build his way up to try and get into fighting better heavyweights. I mean, who even knows if we'll get past Joe Joyce? It's a difficult ask for Lawrence Okolie. I think it's a 50-50 fight. But yeah, I do think this fight happens in 2025. I think Joe Joyce is still going to look for as big fights as possible. And I do think this is a big fight night for Joe Joyce as well. So I think this one happens. All right, next up, I've got Richard Torres Jr. getting on a Saudi show. I think Saudi are going to want to try and get an American heavyweight onto the scene again. Turki Al-Sheikh's going to want to try and do that. And let's be real, Richard Torres Jr. is the only, up-and-coming heavyweight now. And let's be real, there's nothing really special about him whatsoever. So I do think Turki Al-Sheikh will try and get him onto a Saudi show. He'll probably lose his fight on there as well, but I do think they're going to try and get Richard Torres Jr. onto the scene. He'll fight on a Saudi show and probably get beat. Another American heavyweight down the drain. And my last one is Justis Huni gets a big win. I do rate Justis Huni. I do. I think he's got good potential. I think he can win a fight this year. And I think he can win a big fight this year. Who it's against will be interesting to see, but I do think that Justis Huni is going to get a win that does get his name out there and does get people talking about him even more, because I think Justis Huni is, one of the next up-and-coming guys in the heavyweight division, and I think he will prove it this year in 2025. Anyway, I'm going to end this video here. Thanks for watching. Speak to you in a bit.